Under this Liberal government, persons who suffer from mental illness will soon be able to have their lives terminated by Canada's MAID regime. You heard that, right? Medical assistance in dying for mental illness. We're talking about conditions such as anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, and personality disorders. Effective March 2027, for these and other similar conditions, death will be offered as a treatment option. The Liberals are planning to move ahead with MAID for mental illness despite the overwhelming body of evidence indicating that it's reckless, dangerous, and will prematurely end the lives of persons who could have gotten better. Medical experts, including leading psychiatrists, have been sounding the alarm about this planned expansion for years. Among the many concerns raised are two key problems. First, it is difficult, if not impossible, to predict irremediability. In other words, it is difficult, if not impossible, to determine whether someone suffering from mental illness will get better. Even the Liberal government's so-called expert panel acknowledged this problem. In fact, evidence suggests that predictions on irremediability are wrong over half the time. Accordingly, you would be better off flipping a coin to get it right. And yet, here we are with this planned expansion of MAID for mental illness, literally gambling with people's lives. The second key problem is that in cases of mental illness, it is difficult for clinicians to distinguish between a rational request for MAID and one motivated by suicidal ideation. This is underscored by the fact that 90% of persons who commit suicide have a diagnosable mental disorder. It is these two problems that forced the Liberal government to introduce emergency legislation to delay MAID for mental illness, not once, but twice. MAID for mental illness was originally scheduled to take effect in March 2023. In the lead up to that date, the chairs of psychiatry at all 17 medical schools in Canada called on the Liberals to put a pause on MAID for mental illness, citing these two problems. As a result, in February 2023, just 1 month before MAID for mental illness was set to take effect, the Liberals introduced 11th hour legislation to delay this expansion by 1 year until March 2024. In the lead up to March 2024, it was evident that nothing had changed. These two problems, accurately predicting irremediability and determining that a MAID request is rational and not motivated by suicidal ideation, had not been resolved. So, in February 2024, 1 month before MAID for mental illness was set to take effect, the Liberals again introduced 11th hour legislation to delay MAID for mental illness, this time for 3 years until March 2027. This March 2027 deadline is now fast approaching, and there is no evidence that these two key clinical problems have been resolved, or, for that matter, can be resolved. So what is the Liberal government's plan? Another emergency delay? Or are they actually prepared to move ahead with this and gamble with the lives of Canadians who suffer from mental illness? In the face of all of the evidence, there is only one responsible course of action to take, and that is to permanently scrap this radical and dangerous expansion of MAID. My Conservative colleague, MP Tamara Jansen, has given the Liberal government an off-ramp to do just that. MP Jansen has introduced legislation, Bill C-218, that would repeal the planned expansion of MAID for mental illness. This common-sense legislation will be debated and voted on in the coming months. The good news is that it actually has a chance of passing. There are several Liberal MPs who are already on record opposing the Liberal government's expansion of MAID for mental illness, and there are many more Liberal MPs who quietly have concerns about this planned expansion. So now is the time to ramp up the pressure. Contact your MP, especially if your MP is a Liberal, and tell them to support Bill C-218. Tell them that those struggling with mental illness deserve support and treatment, not death. Tell them that recovery is possible, and that we should never give up on persons struggling with their mental health.